Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee, grab your tea. For me, it's hot ginger tea this morning, and join me for a few minutes worth of astrology, human design, and oracle readings. Good morning, Michelle. It's good to see you out there. I'm actually here. I don't believe it, but I didn't feel like it this morning, but I just made myself get up and do it. Good morning, Roseanne. Funny story. Roseanne's phone just called me a few minutes ago. It was really hysterically funny. And almost like, her phone is so excited that I'm back. Or maybe it's actually you, Roseanne. All I can say is I'm glad to be back. Even if I'm not completely feeling my best yet, it's all right. I think it's funny because I purposefully wore pink. If you could see my feet, I have pink socks on because, good morning, Petra, because I wanted to put out there that I'm feeling in the pink. However that works out. So interesting week, right? I had to come back this morning because this week is a very powerful week in that not only do we have the moon starting out in a very powerful place this morning, but then we also are moving through St. Valentine's Day this week. And of course, the partial solar eclipse on Thursday, or maybe it's Wednesday. No, it's Thursday. And of course, this is also in the Christian belief system. This is the beginning of Lent, or Wednesday will be the beginning of Lent with Ash Wednesday. And that means some of you out there will be celebrating tomorrow for Fat Tuesday. Good morning, Katie. Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, if you're in the New Orleans area, or I guess, the whole of the South celebrates Mardi Gras. I grew up on the West Coast, so to me, it was never Mardi Gras. I don't even remember hearing that word with the exception of, just thinking of New Orleans or something like that. So interesting difference between parts of the country and what we celebrate and how we celebrate what we celebrate. So let's start out with today because I have a bunch of things I want to get through. And as long as I feel okay, I'm going to do it. We start the moon today in the sign of Capricorn, which is really fascinating to me because Capricorn is such really wonderful business energy. And every time I think of the moon in Capricorn, I think of moon in the wrong place or adding that feminine touch maybe into a world that's known for its masculinity. And here she is, the moon that is, caught up between Saturn on one side of her, Pluto on the other. Are there any other two planets that really resonate with that masculine power energy than these two planets? So I asked myself the question, is she really caught up by these two? Or is she mediating change in what we consider the patriarchy or in what we consider the very masculine dominated nature of the world? For me, I think she's mediating change. You know why I think that? You know how when you're sick, I don't know, it used to be we'd be maybe pulling out books and things like that, but now I get my phone and I'm playing stupid games, which are actually fun. Sorry, Mimi, and I've played a lot of Word for Friends over the last couple days. And I was going through all the list of news stories, which I often just do kind of look at the headlines to see if I can validate astrologically the things that are happening in the outer world. And I don't even know how I came across it because I wouldn't normally pick up the conservative news, but there was an article about how Steve Bannon believes that the patriarchy is under attack. And literally, if I wasn't coughing so bad, it would have sent me into peals of laughter because that's exactly what's happening, right? It's not so much that the patriarchy is under attack, although the patriarchy may feel like that's what's happening. But what is happening is that the matriarchy is breaking out of her cement case that she's been in for the last 5,000 years. And that's the energy that we are feeling, is that the matriarchy is waking up, not as a way to take over the patriarchy, but as a way to meet up with the patriarchy and to bring the power into balance. And so the moon, definitely as she's sitting between these two signs, sorry, I gotta take a drink, guys. So definitely the moon, as she's sitting between these two planets, is bringing that up to our consciousness more and more and more. He thinks, Steve Bannon, thinks that the Me Too movement and the Time for Change movement or Time's Up movement is just something that's happening like a fad. He thinks it's a fad. And if only they knew astrology, they would understand that that isn't what's happening at all. Good morning, Suzanne. Good morning, everybody out there. Mimi says she saw the article too, loves seeing... Even though he's recognizing that there's this shift happening, he's not happy about it. And he sort of is the epitome, I guess you could say, of what the patriarchy is feeling out there. So remembering that change happens, there are some things that we can do about change, and there are some things that we have no control over. And this rising energy right now of the matriarchy is something we literally have no control over. And it's happening. So if you're a man, get on board with it. If you're a woman, get on board with it, because it's coming and it's happening. And it is very powerful in its effect over the course of time. Both of these planets, by the way, Saturn and Pluto, are really the ones that are having to give way or yield to this movement. And neither one of the planets yields very well. Pluto is actually one that will put insistent pressure on change, but it happens slowly. It happens deliberately, and it happens with time. Saturn rules time. So everything in its right and perfect time. This is a reminder as we start personally with the week with the moon in Capricorn to stick with your due diligence, to stick with duty or whatever it is that you're responsible to or for in the world. And I thought today we would talk a little bit about this other energy of ambition that shows up with Pluto and the moon and Saturn and the black moon Lilith and the part of fortune all sitting in Capricorn. Yeah, we're not done with Capricorn yet, guys. And the way that we can look at this is to go to human design, because human design gives us sort of the energy from the I Ching to be able to read deeper into what is happening with a planet when it's sitting at a particular gate. And the gate that Pluto's been sitting at for a while now is the gate 54, which is the gate of ambition, both spiritual and physical. Now, I wanted to talk about this a bit because in human design, and a lot of you who are my coaching clients might have heard me talk about the idea of circuitry in human design, in that all those gates that you see aren't just like pasted out there on this human design chart. If I had a human design chart, let's see, whose is this one? Let me hide the name. But I can show you that, whoop, back over this way, oops, I kind of cut off the head. Well, at any rate, you can see that there's, 64 gates out there. And that there's a lot of energy and a lot of information in this chart that's, needing to be decoded for you as an individual. And one of the things that we can decode in human design is how it is that you're wired up. Much like an electrical circuit, right? An electrical circuit has all the different pieces that, how the energy flows. Well, or the electricity, how it flows. In human design, your human design chart is literally filled with the different circuits and streams of energy that show us how the energy is flowing through your particular dynamic. Now, all the circuits are the same. All of the gates are the same. But how you personally are wired up is what's different. And there's a circuit that we think of sometimes in human design called the mystical circuit or the mystic circuit. A couple of you out there are starting that this week. As we move into the mystic circuit, this is what made me think of this. The mystic circuit begins really in the emotional center. But I want to shake it up a little bit and say, I really believe that the mystic circuit, our journey here as human beings, the joining of the spiritual into the physical and learning how to be both in this physical world, begins at gate 54, which is a gate of ambition. It's the drive pretty much that makes us want to get up and move forward in our lives. The energy that takes us from, just being a bump on a log, if you will, and makes us get up and say, okay, I have a plan, or I have a duty, I have something I need to do. And excuse me, one of the things that we can see here then is that this is a gate 54, where Pluto is sitting, that is also a gate that takes us on a search for enlightenment. Literally, your whole life is about that enlightenment, and how you come to enlightenment is your journey. And your journey is different from my journey, is different from everybody else's journey. But when you have a powerful planet of change and transformation that's sitting at a gate like 54, and it's there for a long time just because of the nature of Pluto and the fact it moves slowly, then what we're really seeing is how it is that we're meant to enlighten ourselves and to bring ourselves in more light. That's what enlightenment means, right? Bringing in more light. And I think I've told you before through the gene keys that the DNA that we carry, every one of us in every cell of our bodies, is a transducer of light. And so what we are seeing then is our ability to absorb and take in more and more light, and to be able to use that light in a different way. I'm getting chills. It's probably not because I have a fever. I don't have a fever anymore. But I would bet it's validation that a lot of the things that we're seeing in our outer world, including things like the flu, which thank you very much came to visit me last week, is about the way that we have to slow down, have patience, and be able to change in a way that makes sense in light of and enlightenment with the bigger changes that are going on in the world. So I hope that makes sense. So I picked a card this morning because I like this deck. I love this deck. Thank you so much, Debbie Tibbetts, for getting me this deck. And the card I pulled, I hope everybody can see, is called Breathe. She literally flew out of the deck. She flew out of the deck with a different card, but the other card fell on the floor, and this one fell right in front of me. So I'm assuming this is the one that the universe meant for us to see. And the card talks about the same things. The message from the oracle here is saying, slow down, meditate, breathe in, breathe out, have patience. Yeah, I would recommend that deck to anybody. This is a great deck. Here, Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. Give her due. She made a beautiful deck, and she must have infused it with all of her own psychic intuition, and it just jumps over to you, because I have yet to have had a card pull out or fall out or be dealt that didn't have exquisite meaning in that moment for what was happening in my own life or what was happening for you all out in the world. So it's a very profound deck. But essentially what she says here in this card is what the moon is telling us in Capricorn, is that the other card, Suzanne, she's asking, the other card that jumped out of the deck that fell on the ground was Peace. I guess I could have brought this one up too. We've had this card before, and I'm sorry that light kind of shines off these cards. They're kind of shiny. I guess it does matter. You're right. So peace being, again, no matter what the outer world looks like, no matter what chaos is, you can always be at peace. And breathing, meditating, prayer, all these different things bring us back into ourselves, so we can hear the voice of spirit, or we can hear the sound of our God speaking to us, whatever that is, source, God, doesn't matter. And then being able to act upon the information that's coming in a way that's correct for you. There was something else in this card. She was card number 29. 29 out there, people. She's card 29, which is an 11, which is the year we're in, an 11, which is a 2. So there's some pretty profound, oh, that's 39, not 29. 28, 29. Breathe. So the essential meanings: patience, waiting, going slowly, wellness, thank you, I need that, meditation, and trust. So essentially the meaning is patience in all things is called for right now. What do you need to do when you're in a rush? Slow down, of course. Meditate and trust. Breathe and repeat. Humans cannot exist without drawing breath. Now is the time to allow the life-giving element of air to replenish your body, your being, and your very essence. Stop to smell the roses, breathe in the sunlight, and release the darkness and miracles will appear. I love miracles. You guys know I love magic. By the way, it was a kind of miraculous morning as I looked out my windows this morning. Here in the Pacific Northwest, we actually have a bright, sunshiny day, albeit cold. But I could see Mount Rainier out my windows this morning. And you have to understand, Mount Rainier is probably close to 100 miles, 110 miles from me. But there it was, out the window, just in her beauty, with Mount Chuckson just behind her, or I don't know what the other peak is, but it's like a series of peaks right there. Beautiful, awe-inspiring. I just took my breath in and went, wow. I'm going to read you the prosperity message here too as well this morning, because it's an interesting message too. And again, this is all on the card Breathe, right, by Colette Baron Reed. You have worked long and hard. Your dreams are coming to fruition and you want to hurry things along. You are the slow one, moving languidly, yet still progressing right now in a rhythm dictated by your authentic nature, the essence of your dream, and the will of the universe. Slow and steady wins the race. That's what I have to always remind my manifesting generators, right? You will win if you relax, stay the course, trust your intuition, and breathe. It all comes down to breath. It comes down to patience. Things are changing. That's the only real constant that we have is change. And a sense of commitment to oneself and one's path forward can really help you, even when it appears that things are slowing down, when it appears that you're ill and you have to take it slow. I caught myself up this weekend trying to get going and doing things that I wasn't ready to do, and I ended up paying the price for it. Did I tell you guys, I tried to poison myself this weekend as well. On Friday, I was hungry. I thought, yay, I'm turning a corner. I'm hungry. I grabbed a bagel, and unbeknownst to me, it was moldy. And I ate the whole thing. And the next day, I was sicker than a dog. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is because of the flu. And my husband went to go get a bagel for himself. And he goes, did you know these are moldy? And I went, no. So interesting, right? Just to add another little layer to myself having to stay down and stay safe and sane was me poisoning myself. Interesting times we live in, and right now I'm in a better mood, and I can kind of chuckle about all the different things that have gone on. That's all we could do, guys, right? Just keep going. Do what's right for you. There was another point I was going to make to all of this, and it is about independence. You know, in the next, let's see, this is mid-February almost. It's the first week in April when Chiron moves out of Pisces and into the sign of Aries, which is going to really bring up that dynamic for us all, including those of you born in the early 70s whose Chiron is in Aries. The issues around self-sufficiency and independence, standing on one's own feet, following one's own heart and impulses to move forward, but also knowing when it's appropriate and proper to get help. When is it team effort better than my own effort? So those are lessons that we're going to have to be dealing with as well over the next couple of months. So commit to yourself at this point in time. Use the energy of the moon in Capricorn, Saturn in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, to commit to your authentic and genuine path forward. And yours is different than mine. And if yours means that you are having to be patient right now and wait for signs to move forward, then so be it, right? That's what your authentic path is for you. If you're on the other side of the coin and you're someone who is moving at the speed of light right now, and that's appropriate for you, then so be it. But know that energy is always shifting and it's always changing. And those of you who are zooming forward may find yourself caught up in having to be patient. And those of us who are patient are going to have gathered our energy up for our movement forward. So it's the total right and perfect nature of the universe. So anyway, my voice is giving out on me, people. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope to be back tomorrow. At some point this week, we're going to have to talk about this lunar or solar eclipse coming up. It's going to be a fun one. And I wish you all a happy day. Bye for now.